and I got my ADHD diagnosis. And then it wasn't until like a year after that where I started like learning more about autism. And then I was like, yeah, I've definitely got both.
Yeah, getting diagnosed during my teen years felt really weird because it's during that time where I'm like still trying to figure myself out, and then there's like this lingering thing in the back of my mind saying like, oh, something is not normal about you. And that just has followed me my entire like growing up phase, and it was so hard to deal with up until I got that diagnosis, and then everything just clicked for me and my whole family. I mean, it was such a relief finding out that I was autistic, that like I wasn't just crazy, like, but looking back on like my childhood and all the things that have like messed up my brain for the last 18 years, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't have to do all that.
Welcome to Neurospice Latte, a podcast where neurodivergent voices share real stories as well as the support that helps them in hopes of helping others feel seen. I'm your host, Anthony Gauna, a late diagnosed autistic ADHDer, and everyone that you hear on this show is a listener sharing their own lived experience. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can find a link to sign up in the episode description. But for now, my friend, it's time to settle in and grab yourself a cozy little cup of Neurospice. All right, welcome to Neurospice Latte. Lily, it's really nice to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I always want to start off with asking, what is your flavor of Neurospice?
Autistic, and I think that's it, probably.
Time will tell.
I Doctors have said lots of things about me.
Yeah, I mean, that was with me. It was first, I thought, I was like, I think I do have ADHD. And then when I presented it to my wife, she was like, I don't know, I think you're autistic. And I'm like, no, not at all. And I got my ADHD diagnosis. And then it wasn't until like a year after that where I started like learning more about autism. And then I was like, yeah, I've definitely got both.
Where the exact same thing happened to me. At first I was diagnosed with ADHD, and then I don't know, a while later I was looking into autism. I don't know if this is like around the same time or something, but I went to another doctor, and like a year or two later, and they said that I had autism but not ADHD. So I don't know whether I have ADHD or not. One doctor told me I did, one doctor told me I didn't. I don't care though. I can't be bothered to go through another diagnosis.
It's so exhausting and like difficult. Like the process is just, oh yeah, it just takes so much out of you and just like, well, I give up.
Yeah, like I'm happy with the autism diagnosis. I can't be bothered to do anything else anymore at this point, at least.
I know we had talked about what we wanted to discuss for your episode. And so for me, my birthday is going to be in a few days. And I'm thinking about canceling it this year and just skipping it so that I don't get another year older, but whatever. But I didn't find out about how my brain works until, late 30s. And for you, you're diagnosed, you're a young adult. And so I wanted to hear your perspective on that and like that journey of finding out and all that. So yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, getting diagnosed during my teen years felt really weird because it's during that time where I'm like still trying to figure myself out, and then there's like this lingering thing in the back of my mind saying like, "Oh, something is not normal about you." And that just has followed me my entire like growing up phase, and it was so hard to deal with up until I got that diagnosis, and then everything just clicked for me and my whole family. It We all like, oh, okay, well that's why. um but at the point where I did get diagnosed, I had already been doing online school for a couple years. So I wasn't like in the environments where I used to like get, I guess, triggered. So it felt like it felt late, even though I know that, I mean, I'm still so young, but it felt like this should have happened when I was like 5, but instead it happened when I was 16. Um, it was a weird feeling. Um, Definitely weird when I was much younger and didn't know what was wrong with me, but over time I've like come to terms with everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. Like, I, I guess I've noticed that I've been more curious about how, like doing these conversations, like what has been everyone's, like the, like the typical like feelings of grief or like the stages or whatever. Cause I
Yeah.
mean, for me, it was like, well, thank goodness, like I've got, like now I know, like there's nothing necessarily wrong with me. It's just, and all that. And then it went through like anger where it's like, if I would have just known when like when I was a kid, like I would have been, further along, as an adult. And like, so I had this like bit of anger for like maybe a week or so. And then like, it was like weeks of like grief of just like sadness and like, why and all that. And then it went to like feeling much better about myself after that. I'm curious, like, what was that like for you?
I mean, it was such a relief finding out that I was autistic, that like I wasn't just crazy, like, but looking back on like my childhood and all the things that have like messed up my brain for the last 18 years, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't have to do all that. I could have just gotten diagnosed with autism. Like, there were so many points looking back on it. There were so many points where if someone had just come up to me and said, "Hey, you should you should get tested for autism," my life would be so much different. I don't I don't want to think about like the what ifs and alternate universes, but also like maybe I'd be in a completely different place right now. And I don't want to be in a completely different place, but it is just interesting to think about. It's like like you said, the stages of grief. Like for me it started with like acceptance, then anger, then like it's just a roller coaster. But yeah,
Is that
it's weird.
roller coaster? That's the word I was looking for. I feel like it still like happens every now and then where it's just like you kind of like I'm doing great, and then it's like like it's all coming back.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's what I feel like I'm going through right now, or it's the this time around a year, this time, I guess this season or whatever, like it's just so much for me where
Mhm.
I'm just completely burned out because like you've got the holidays, and yes, the holidays are nice, but at the same time it's just like so many obligations and like things you got to go to and all that, and you got to pull yourself together. And then after that, I've got a son, and so then it's you still got him out of school and kind of like dealing with that. Then the schedule changes, and then I start to feel all right. But then it's my birthday coming up, and then I've got more obligations like for my family, like not just like my wife and son, but then my sisters and all of that, where everyone wants to get together and celebrate my birthday, and I'm like, I just want to be alone for my birthday. Can I have that gift? And so I feel like right now I'm going through that. Like I am just so overwhelmed and burnt out, kind of a deal, and then after that I'll get through that and I'll be fine. And I know how to manage life now again. But okay, so you mentioned triggers earlier. Like, what were your triggers like being in school, and then like what was the things that like immediately when you went back to home or when you went to homeschooling, where you're just like, what is going on?
Just school in general, everything about it. I wish I could pinpoint exactly what it was, but I had really, really bad school avoidance. Like, I would have panic attacks every single time I walked into school or was just in the parking lot of the school, and I couldn't handle it. Um, I just wasn't getting the help that I needed. I had therapy for anxiety, but that was kind of it. Um, I I missed so much school. I think there was a year where I missed like 30 days, not consecutively, but like in total, 30 days is not good. There was like talk of maybe truancy, and I was like, just I just couldn't stand it. Um, when I went to online school, everything just felt so much better. I was finally able to actually get an education without panicking every time, and I felt I felt both free and also like a failure, because everyone my age was going to middle school and high school and having friends and random teenage stuff. Meanwhile, I was like sitting in my bedroom every day, and it made me feel physically so much better, but emotionally, I was still yearning for that like connection to my peers. Um and I'm finally getting that again after like six years of doing online school. I'm finally like getting together with people my age, and I feel like I have a community again.
That's great. I wish, looking back, I wish I was able to avoid school that much, because I still went to school, but man, I barely passed high school. Um, and yeah, it was one of those, looking back, where it's like there was just certain things that like if we could have changed things, I could have like done so much better. But anyway, okay, so I want to stop myself there because I can just keep talking. But um, okay, so right now you've got like this big move that you've just made, and you're going to college or university now. What is it, university or college? What's
I
the
call
correct
it
term?
both, but it's called university.
um, but you've just made this big move. Like, I'm just curious, like from what you've just described, from like the homeschool, um, or online learning to where you are now. What's that been like so far?
It's actually been way better than I was expecting. I was fully prepared to like spend all this money moving to England just to run back home a month later. But I am so happy that that didn't happen. I guess listening to my body and not forcing myself to do stuff that makes me uncomfortable. And I've I've felt so much better. I never ended up going back to in-person school for high school, um, which is why I was so scared to come to university. Uh, but with the last couple years of just calm, I feel so much better about being in these social situations or new situations. And I don't know what exactly helped me to, I guess, cope, but I I want to say that maybe the anxiety medication helped.
I was like, well, I want to ask like what you thought it is, and there it is. Was it how overwhelming was it for you?
I think the leading up to it was way more overwhelming than actually going into it. Um, I was terrified. The night before I left, I went to a movie with my sister and I came out the theater just like sobbing. And like the movie, okay, it was sad, so I was crying, but then I was just thinking like, "Oh my god, I'm leaving this place tomorrow." And I just was hugging my sister in tears in the parking lot like, "I don't want to go. I don't want to go." Um I was just so scared. I was terrified that there was going to be a repeat of like when I was 12, but it didn't happen. And I'm just so glad that my fears weren't reality because sometimes they are and that sucks, but sometimes they really really aren't.
Okay, so I'm realizing. So for those watching or listening, I to give more context, Lily moved overseas, away from
Yeah.
family and all that, which is why I was curious about this big move and asking. So apologize for that, but there's context for everyone else. So you've made this move. You've realized, okay, your fears didn't come true. Like, I'm just curious, like getting settled in and all of that, because I'm sure that's because
Yeah.
transitions, transitions.
I said it was easier than I expected, but there were times where I was disappointed, I guess. Um like I don't enjoy most of the social aspects. Like I don't go to the social events, the parties, stuff like that. I'm just not interested in it. And it does sort of make me feel distant from my peers because, I mean, it's England and the drinking age is 18 and everyone here is 18 or older and everyone's just going out and drinking a bunch at night. And I don't feel that connected with that part. So I can't relate to a lot of what my peers like are interested in and like to do. But I did eventually find my little group of people. Um, I've been working with them on a project this week and it's been super fun. I haven't had like a group of an in-person friend group that I feel fully comfortable with in years. And it makes me so happy that I've found people that I'm happy with and like to talk to. And because I feel like I've always been at least a little bit social awkward within big groups, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, but even within like my friends, I still felt a little bit like an outsider, even if these are my friends that I've loved forever. But like I'm finally not feeling that. And it took a while. Like, this is I'm now in the second semester. So it took a while for me to feel fully comfortable within a group, but I'm really happy that it has happened, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's like looking back, it kind of makes sense now, where it's, if it wasn't for you having that like, the aha moment of figuring things out and like stepping back away from in person, like I feel like, I mean, I don't know. This is just my perspective, but like I feel like you wouldn't have even gotten to that point where you feel like you found like your people. This is why I'm starting this, is because I feel like I've found my people. I'm the same way. Like if I'm in a group setting, it's so difficult for me to be able to. I almost always am like the most quiet person in a group setting. It's because I don't know the social cues, and like I don't know when I'm supposed to jump in, if it's rude to jump in and like say something and all of that. And I've got my social circles where like I I still feel uncomfortable in a group setting, but like I feel comfortable around them, and so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I what was I going to say?
I do that all the time.
um um yeah, just being in a group where I guess it has made me realize that I am very much so very quiet in group settings where I'm not fully comfortable, or uh, not fully comfortable with like the people I'm with. Not anything against them specifically, but it's just I still feel like I'm not as connected. And it takes a while to find a very niche group of people where I'm finally like, oh, I can actually be myself and talk a lot and be loud and not be anxious that I'm being weird or awkward. Because I swear, every time I'm in a group setting, I always say something extremely awkward. And I'm like, why did I do that? I'm so bad at social interaction. Um, but if I'm with people that I feel fully connected to, I can actually just express myself without feeling weird about it.
I was thinking, it was just like a random thought, but I was thinking back about how, like in group settings, I've always been the person when I go to like if I get invited to a party or whatever, it's not so much these days, but like looking back for me, I was always the person where I was like, oh, they've got a cat. And then I'm just hanging out with the cat. And then, all right, well, now I got to think of an excuse to get out of here because I don't feel comfortable. Those sorts of things have just been fun to kind of like think back on or whatever.
I say this with like no offense to the people that I'm not like as connected with. I mean, I love these people. I love my friends, but sometimes I'm just not able to I don't feel able to express myself, not because they've done anything, just cuz I feel awkward. And every time I talk about this, I feel like, oh no, are these people going to think that I don't like them? It's not that. I really like you guys, but I just want to be quiet and sit in a corner too and observe. I like to observe.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm always observing, and I think that's why I'm still into photography, but it was why I was really, really into photography for a long time. It's like it gave me permission to observe, especially if I'm photographing a wedding. Like I'm being paid to observe, and like and all that. But I always find it interesting watching people interact, and like sometimes it feels almost like I'm studying. Like I'm like, well, how do they know? I don't know. Just I would
Yeah.
get into my head of like just trying to understand the social situation of what is going on. But I'm curious. I think we had mentioned something about. I'm gonna like pull up my notes. I've been trying to like make sure I'm staying on topic. Yeah. Okay. So because I wrote this down, being an introvert, like, but still needing people is something that I had written down.
Yeah. So, over the winter break, I was just like so alone because I didn't want to do anything. And it was horrible. I was just depressed all day and I felt like I needed some sort of social interaction, but I didn't want to put in the effort. Um and finally when my classes started up again, I felt like, okay, I'm back to normal. I'm in this usual routine and I feel like an actual person again and not just I'm not spending every day inside my room playing video games because as much as as much fun as it is in the moment, it gets so tiring and depressing and I feel like I need to do anything but this. And I am an introvert, so I do always need like time to myself to rest and get my energy back up, but also I need time outside of that so I can actually feel like a human being and have social interactions because I mean that's what makes us human.
It, yeah, I just finally had one of those moments where I was like, oh, I know what I was going to ask. And then it just like, poof, just left. um, yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, okay. When you're in those, like, when you're in that, like feelings and all that, what, like, do you have ways of like kind of like managing it? Like, do you have things that like instantly like bring you like energy and like any sort of like regulation of some sort? Is it video games, or is the video games like one of those where like I like it but I don't like that I like it? Like, I don't know.
I feel like for me it's like a way to distract myself from the fact that I'm depressed. Like it's the winter time and I feel like I only ever feel like this during the winter time, especially
Same.
now. Over here it started getting dark at like 4 p.m. Thankfully it doesn't anymore, but that was absolutely horrendous.
I'm popping like double the amount of vitamin D at this point, like at this time of year, just because of that. I've just learned I feel a little bit better when I do that. Not quite sure if it's healthy, but I'm not a doctor, folks.
I've always been vitamin D deficient, so I definitely need that. I guess the way to bring me back from that is just talking to someone. I cannot spend all day just like a hermit in my room not talking to anyone. I need to remind myself that I need to remind myself to talk to people. Which is why I FaceTime my family so much. Not as much recently because uh I don't know. I don't know why, but
Time zone differences, maybe.
something. But like a couple months ago, I was definitely FaceTiming them like every single day. And it's not every single day anymore. I guess maybe because I've just gotten more comfortable with where I'm at. And I don't need to rely on them for support anymore. But also, I'm still, I still love talking to them. I still love them. They're my family. Uh, but yeah, just talking to someone can definitely bring me back from the slump.
Yeah, one of the things for me that I'm trying to figure out that I want to get better at this year is um like reaching out to friends more, because I if they're not like top of mind of in any sort of way, like I just won't even think to like even text them, and
Yeah.
it'll just be how it is. And like thankfully I've got friends that like it's not a, well, I haven't heard from you in like 2 months, like what's the deal, like I don't have friends like that. It's just it always thankfully like just kicks off of like, it's almost like we haven't, or it's almost like we, what's the right way, I got like tongue tied for some reason, not like, it's like we haven't even not, I hate using double negatives, that's the problem. Haven't not talk to each other or whatever. It's basically what I'm trying to get at. It almost feels like yesterday, like we were chit chatting, I guess is what I was getting at. But yeah, I feel like I've just really gotten bad at that. Like last year, I was supposed to meet up with one of my friends from like childhood. Like we've known each other since we were like 15 years old or something. And last year, we I don't even think, no, we saw each other once and that was it. And we went into the year being like, this is our year. We're gonna hang out at least like every few months, and didn't wind up happening. And so I just want to get better at that, and I just haven't quite figured out the way to make that happen. Like I don't know if I need to be setting reminders on my phone or if there's an app for that. Like, but I've been trying to figure that out for myself because I'm the same way. Like all my friends, they like when I'm around them, like I immediately like I'm fueled up. Like if I was feeling really bad, I can immediately like feel great. And it's not like they're trying to like boost, like they're like, you're a great person or anything. It's just like great conversation, and goofiness and laughter and all that. I've found like that's what fuels me as well, and pulls me out of slumps, I guess. But at the same time, I can be very bad at it. I can also be very bad at like, okay, maybe not bad, but it's like I don't know if you're like this, but if you get like text messages from whoever it is, like there are people that you love, but you're in a point in your life where it's like, right now I've got so much going on. I'll deal with that later. And then it's like 2 or 3 days later, it's like, hey, sorry about that. Sometimes it's more than that, like a week, but it's like, hey, sorry, like took me so long to get back to you, blah, blah, blah. And part of me feels bad that I do that, but I'm also like, I'm not being a jerk about it. I'm like looking out for myself at the same time. It's like, I just don't have the mental bandwidth to talk to this person that I do love. Um, I'm not sure if you're like that as well.
Fully relate to being bad at reaching out to friends. Like I want to talk to them, but also I'm tired and I can't. Um I'm so bad at reaching out to people. At one point, I don't know if I have it anymore. I might, but I'm bad at checking. At one point I had like a reminder on my phone, like text this person at certain intervals, just so I wouldn't sound like a jerk for ignoring them. Um, but sometimes I feel like, oh, I definitely need that again because I cannot. I just I just can't reach out to people. The
Yeah.
only people I ever reach out to are my family, and like I said, I love talking to them, but also, why am I not talking to my other friends?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I'm now realizing where my issue is. Okay. So Uh, all my friends, uh, I have it in two places, like for their birthdays. I've got their actual birthday in my calendar. So when I'm looking at my calendar, I know, oh, so and so's birthday is coming up. But in my to do app, I also have a to do slash reminder for myself to at least text them happy birthday. So friends, family, whoever it is, like I've got the reminder to text them back or text them to say happy birthday. Because if not, that I did have a couple of my friends. They're like, dude, you're a jerk. Like you totally forgot my birthday. And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know. Immediately I put it in my phone. I was like, I'm never going to forget it again. It's great. So I'm great on that. I also have, because every now and then I do get overwhelmed with text messages coming my way and not responding to them and then just forgetting to respond. I wound up figuring out a way on my phone to set it up. It's like an automation where if, and I only have it for certain people, but if certain people text me, it automatically adds a to do to text them back into my to do app. So when I'm looking at what do I have to do today or what have I missed, I can go, oh, I never text so and so back. But what I'm now realizing is I don't have a way to be like, hey, you haven't checked in on so and so in quite a while. Maybe you should like say hello. So I think this has been this has just been helpful for me to like kind of realize like, well, this is how I can be a better friend this year, Anthony.
Which is also helpful because I have so many messages that I always miss and forget to respond to. Not specifically people, but like important stuff that I should probably respond to. Um, just forget to do it.
Yeah, I'm good at like even with emails, you know, I star the emails and like I've got my list of emails I need to respond to and all that. But if it's things that like it I guess it's like a people pleasing thing too, which I'm just really bad at. But like I will make sure other things for other people get done. But when it's things for myself, it's like I'm always just like putting it like on the back burner or whatever. Yeah, it's something I'm really bad at.
I was like procrastinating doing one thing. It was like if I don't register to vote here, then they could possibly fine me 80 pounds, which is annoying. And they sent me like 5 reminders, like, make sure you register to vote. And so it's like, okay, I'll do that later. Never did it until like yesterday. I just kept putting it off and kept forgetting that I had to do that. And it also doesn't help that I read the date wrong and thought that I had until December, but I actually had until the 12th of February. So,
Yeah, deadlines. I love them and I hate them so much because it's like I will utilize it to be like I will use it to procrastinate until that point, and then once that point hits, it's like, all right, got to get this done now, absolutely now. But at the same time, it's like,
yeah,
why do I do this to myself?
my parents always say that I work better under pressure. And I don't know if that's true and I don't know if that's healthy, but I do wait until the last minute to turn my stuff in, which is very fun when you're a college student.
Yeah, I did that a ton in school. Okay, this is actually a funny story. Okay, very similar. It was one of those things. Looking back, I'm like, oh, this totally makes sense. Okay, so um, I did go to college for a little while. I never graduated college because I was just always changing majors. One of the first majors was like in like arts, so I wanted to do like either graphic or web design. But just like with any course, like you've got like your prerequisites or whatever. I'm not very educated, and I feel very awkward trying to like say school related things. So I don't know if it's prereqs or not. But anyway, you got classes that you're supposed to take alongside, you know, your whatever you're trying to study. One of them was it was a design class slash like it was a multimedia type thing. So it was not just like designing on the computer, but it was um, like I guess I'll get to the story. One of the projects that we had was we had to use we had to draw a charcoal thing with just like circles and like I don't to be honest, I thought it was the stupidest project and but we had to like use charcoal on this like big piece of paper and I don't know what it was that we were supposed to be getting across, but basically it was just like a bunch of scribbles is what it was in my head. And so I just didn't want to do that. And so I showed up to class a little bit early. I sat on the floor like while the teacher had another class going on. So I just literally sat right outside the door and I just like scribbled a bunch of stuff. And one of my friends at the time was like, "You're just now doing this?" I was like, "Yes." Like I didn't want to do this. So the thing that I didn't realize was that we had to go up and do a presentation on this project. So I go up and, I put it on the wall and the teacher was like, "So tell us about this." And I was like, "Well, I was
Represents
listening."
your internal anguish.
Basically. So I just immediately went to music. And so I was like, "Oh, I was listening to this it was an instrumental band. I don't know if it was like Mogwai or Sigaros or whatever, but instrumental kind of band that had a lot of dynamics was what I was trying to be like." So I was like, I was listening to this one band and they have a lot of like loud dynamics but very soft, parts as well. So a lot of like the really loud parts is like this part of the picture where it's a ton of scribbles and then like these more open areas is just what I was feeling when the song was very calm and quiet. And so I just kind of like elaborated. And one of my friends, we sat next to each other, the one that saw me, she was just like staring at me the whole time, being like, "This is all BS." And I got a great grade on it. um, but yeah, it was just like one of those like last minute things where it's just like, all right, it was a lot of BS though on my end, but um, I just procrastinated on till literally the very last second. But yeah, deadlines are um, great and not fun all at the same time.
They're interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Very stressful for not just us, but for all the people in our life. Okay, we're getting close to wrapping up. I was curious, like, was there anything that we didn't touch on, or things that you like? Maybe you were just like Anthony, you were just talking way too much, and you didn't let me talk. Um, anything like you want to mention, or things that I didn't maybe ask? Anything like that?
I wrote down like a list of things that I could talk about, but I feel like I either got them all out or don't feel like talking about them anymore.
Or we forgot about them, whatever. That's why I have to like keep my notes in front of me. Like I gotta stay in line. All right, I gotta get my timer ready. I need to like start getting better at pulling my timer out. We got our 1 minute Hyperfocus spotlight. I don't know what you're bringing to us. I love this. So if you're a new listener or viewer, I'm doing these segments for every one of our guests called the Hyperfocus Spotlight. And it is literally just, I set a timer for 1 minute and whatever a guest wants to bring to like just yap about, like something that they're super excited about, maybe like at this current point in time, or something that they've always really enjoyed, but it's just like something that they could just talk hours and hours and hours and hours about. They're just given 1 minute. Although once we hit the 1 minute, you're free to like keep talking. I find it fun because it like it's interesting to see what people's interests are, but also at the same time it gives me something new to learn, which is something I enjoy. I enjoy learning new things. Um, and Yeah, so what are you bringing to us today? I haven't started the timer yet, but so just give us a brief like what you're going to talk about, and then I'll start the timer.
Recently, I started playing Animal Crossing New Horizons for the first time in 5 years, and it's been a journey.
I listened to a few other I listened to like these like tech podcasts, and I I mainly like listening to them because I feel like there are some topics that they touch on that I find of interest, but I always feel like I lean more into like their personalities and like the jokes that they tell to each other. And it's a lot of like, as you keep listening, there's like a lot of inside jokes. And so I find that they've just become my like internet friends that they don't even know. And Animal Crossing, like a lot of them play video games, and I know nothing about video games. I have no interest in video games, but I have heard of the phenomenon of Animal Crossing, especially like, didn't it get big during like shutdown, like with COVID and all that? I think
That was when the new game came out, just like in March of 2020.
this makes a whole lot of sense because you just said since like 5 years, and that was like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
say no more. I'll start the timer right now, and you go.
So I fell off of playing Animal Crossing in late 2020, and I finally started playing it again during the new update that just came out, and I'm making a themed island for the first time, which is fun. It's themed around Tangled because it's my favorite movie of all time, and I love everything about it. And now I'm gonna just start talking about Tangled because I love Tangled, and there's a new live action movie coming out of it, and I'm terrified. I'm so scared. I can't. I'm so scared about the live action Tangled. I don't know how much time I have. I could just talk about how terrified I am.
What are you terrified about?
I
I don't
love
know what this
Tangled.
is, so
Tangled live action. I'm just so scared. They're gonna ruin my favorite movie. I just know it, and I know that I'm
all right,
gonna
it's
watch it,
time.
and I know that I'm
But
gonna
keep
be
going.
obsessed with it. I know I'm gonna be obsessed with it, and I know I'm gonna hate it at the same time. That's it.
I feel like that way. I think everyone feels that way, like when they do remakes or sequels or whatever. It's like you get so
Hmm.
attached to it, and oh, what if they mess it up? Um, Sometimes you feel a little angry that you liked it at the same time. It's like, how should I feel about
Hmm.
myself that I liked this remake or this sequel, or I don't know.
I wish I had the strength to just not watch it, but I know that I can't. I know that I have to.
You have to put yourself through that.
I have to put myself through the pain, and I have to experience the pain.
And then it'll give you something else to talk a lot about of why it was terrible. If it was, I don't know.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you again for doing this and for reaching out to be a part of this. Um, Anything you want to leave for listeners, viewers?
I guess just if if you feel like an outsider, or if you feel like there's something weird or different about you, you're going to be okay, and you're going to find your place in the world, and it's going to be okay. I wish that I could tell my younger self that.
Well, thank you again, Lily. I appreciate you being here. And for those of you watching or listening, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, as well as wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever. If you would like to be a guest, there is a link in the description wherever you are watching or viewing this or listening, sorry. There is a link where you can sign up to be a part of this. This is all people who are just listeners of the show reaching out to be guests. I just want to share as many voices and stories and journeys as possible. So if you'd like to be a part of this and be on the show, just reach out. Link is in the description. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to bring you another cozy little cup of Neurospice.